Hello, everyone. I'm Hanja Dalwal, and I'm part of the Windows commercial team at Microsoft. Welcome to Tackling Tech. I'm excited to kick off a new season of Tackling Tech, and we have some awesome stuff lined up for you in the future episodes. So make sure to check those out. Let's get this show on the road with one of the hottest solutions from Microsoft, and that is cloud computing. My guest is someone you all know, familiar with, and respected as a voice for Microsoft Cloud Computing, and it's no other than my wonderful friend and colleague who has his own series called Windows in the Cloud, Christian Brinkhoff. Welcome, Christian, and let's tackle tech together.
Yeah, let's do that, Harjit. And thanks for having me. Great to be on your great show here and connect with your followers and IT pros. So looking forward to the interview.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is great. I'm glad you joined us, and and to kick off this new series as well. And we've done this before, on a different show, and but we're bringing it all here together as Microsoft. So fantastic. So, Christian, we we have some awesome, as I explained in my intro here, some awesome cloud computing solutions from Microsoft. They're one of the hottest things in town, AVD and Windows 365. For those who are not familiar or need to know more about what these are, can you quickly explain?
Well, that's a great question, Harjit. And we get it a lot during like conferences, EBCs at Redmond campus, as well as directly to talking with customers as well. And Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365 are the hottest products in both Microsoft as well in market right now. And that's great. And it's great to be part of that team and build those technologies to what customers needs as well. So if you have any feature requests or something like that, let us know, of course, as well. So Windows 365 is something I'll explain in just a bit, but Azure Virtual Desktop is what we call Cloud VDI. And Cloud VDI is what we say as cloud and VDI. So VDI simplified in the cloud, meaning that your control plane layer that you used to manage yourself on premises, like think about your broker, gateway, web services, all those things that you have to manage and maintain yourself on premises are now hosted in the Azure cloud as a service. And that's Azure Virtual Desktop. And then you have the Azure IaaS layer and everything that we offer from the Azure platform layer attached to it to also simplify your hypervisor layer that you have to manage yourself on premises. So all that flexibility that you can still do on Azure is what we call Cloud VDI, but it still requires Cloud VDI, or let's say VDI expertise that you have to have on premises as well with like Citrix, VMware, RDS, and all those technologies out there. So if we move to Windows 365, we call that Cloud PC as a category. Super simple reflection of the PC in the cloud. And one thing to really remember there is that you need Intune knowledge. So Microsoft Intune knowledge to manage and maintain it. And that's everything you need. So no Azure expertise, no VDI expertise. So if you're a modern administrator that manages Intune, like mobile devices, but as well physical PCs, you can as well spin up a cloud PC yourself. And I'm pretty sure you can do that without learning anything because it's so easy and you just leverage the same expertise for provisioning a cloud PC that you do for managing a physical PC. So you go to devices and then provisioning and then Windows 365. And that's where you all can find provisioning policies and create the creation of your cloud PC. So everything is sitting in that Microsoft Intune portal. And we hear that more and more from like administrators, but as well business decision makers, like businesses that are seeking for simplification of like the management layer to move to cloud PCs because it's so easy and they can just bring the management console of Intune together from physical PCs as well as cloud PCs. So very easy to do, very scalable too. And just like you said, Harjit, in the beginning, cloud computing is really what Windows 365 is because everything sits in terms of end user experiences directly in Windows. It feels familiar to the user. We just released Windows 365 boot and switch, which sits directly inside the Windows shell. We might want to talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah.
So just to summarize, Cloud VDI, simplification, flexibility that you can have from moving on-premises VDI to the cloud. And then we have the other category, cloud PC, completely like integrated in Microsoft Intune, and the reflection of Windows, making Windows Cloud connected and move Windows to the cloud as well.
Amazing. That's great explanation. And I have to agree. Windows 365 Cloud PC is really simple and easy to configure and set up. I mean, it's fast, it's quick. I have experience with VDI as well during my years that I worked in higher ed. So I'm familiar with both sides of the equation here. So, you mentioned boot and switch. We have some great things with Windows 365 that's been announced recently, and every time you're done with one, and all of a sudden something even more awesome comes out, and so on and so forth. So let's start with Windows boot and switch. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, just like yourself, like I've been around in this like space and virtualization space as well, and now being part of the team in Microsoft under Panos Panay in the Windows organization to really change the end user experiences and features to connect to like Windows in the cloud is great. And working with the Windows Shell team to create boot has been amazing too. And just to kind of remind the audience here, like in the last 30 years, there have been other companies providing virtualization. Windows 365 is really the new era of virtualization and simplifying it. And with boot, we do that from really the end user experience side. So imagine you're using a traditional VDI solution. You have Windows, and on top of Windows, you have a client, and then you need to configure that client. And sometimes it's even not working with single sign-on. And then you click on that, and then you come into another Windows environment. Try to explain that to like somebody that's not familiar with virtualization, right? That's super hard. So what we did there, we removed that whole concept of layering clients and Windows to have like just Windows directly connecting to your Windows 365 Cloud PC with boot. So imagine you're typing in your username and password on your Windows 11 Surface device. Normally you go to your local PC. With boot, we connect directly straight into your cloud PC. So we went from like layers on top with Windows to kind of just one layer and go straight into your cloud PC. And we created new UI components inside the shell that showcase when you type in your username and password, what's the status. It's connecting to your cloud PC. It performs with single sign-on. It all works with, of course, Microsoft Entra ID now, or Azure ID, how it spiritually has been called. So that's really unique and a great first-class experience that is directly built into Windows 11.
Definitely, it's hot, right? I mean, the moment you kick off your computer, you're going straight to a cloud environment and accessing your stuff there without fiddling, kicking off a client and doing all of this stuff.
One of the key things with boot is as well that the endpoint can have like lower amount of resources too. So we expect that the endpoint like itself, how it has been consuming Windows locally, will transform more to a cloud connected kind of an environment, or let's say amount of resources as well over time. So this feature boot is now available in a public preview. So we will put in a link here in the lower third to make sure that you can follow up and learn more about the technical implementation and as well the benefits there. Switch, however, is my favorite feature, to be honest. So boot is awesome too. So I'm not kind of splitting my
not your favorite child. You're not picking your favorite children.
No, I'm not doing that. But switch is really like from the coolness flavor. It's really awesome because switch is a feature that really focuses on hybrid scenarios. So think about a local PC and a cloud PC for like bring your own device. Think about contractors, freelancer scenarios, right? You have a local PC where you do your private stuff, or maybe you work for other clients as well. But you also have a cloud PC with all those corporate apps and all those data that you get from like a contractor that should not leave the cloud. So it needs to stay secure in that bubble. So what we build with Switch is an integration in the task view. So task view is something you find next to the search option or the search button in the taskbar of Windows 11. And normally it creates local desktops. So you can separate your desktops. So you can separate, hey, I'm having here my icons about my private, like my family photos and
Yes.
things like that. And then you have another desktop with all your corporate applications and such. So what we did is build a Cloud PC integration on the side. And if you click on that, it switches directly to your Cloud PC from the task view integration. So the same kind of boot to Cloud PC experience that we have built for boot, but then
Mhm.
inside the local task view. And the other amazing thing is that when you're in your Cloud PC, you can do the same. So you go back to the task queue in the Cloud PC, and then you switch back to the local PC. And that's a round tripping experience in the shell where we kind of go from like layering operating systems on top of each other. We go with boot like straight in, we remove all the layers on top. And with this concept, we have two environments next to each other, and you can do like the switching with the task view, but you can as well do four finger swipe, or you
The
do
gestures.
Windows, yeah, or
Yeah.
control Windows and then the
Mhm.
arrow, and you just swipe as the Cloud PC is
Right.
just sitting next to you, which is yeah pretty cool and really sits as well in that hybrid scenario. So if you have a need for a local PC, I must say,
Mhm.
as well as a Cloud PC attached to it, the end user can just use a shell component like task view and
Right.
just switch in between. So
And something to make clear is that the workloads or the environments are, while they're still, you can switch back and forth easily, they're still separate, right? So meaning that, like, for cases like BYOD, you got your main PC as your private area, whatever you're doing and stuff, and then you're switching to corporate. You got corporate capabilities and data and access and all that fun stuff.
yeah, that's correct. And imagine you're working in your Cloud PC and you have Switch or Boot enabled, and you're like getting a call from Hajit Friday 4 p.m. Hey, come drink a beer. There's beer waiting for you. You can just drop your work, don't log off, do anything, and then on Monday you start back to work, and everything is still open there too. So
It's still there.
exactly what you said. Like everything is hosted in
Yeah.
the cloud, runs 24/7, and we will save that state for you as part of the Cloud PC
Yeah.
offering.
And security is really, really important for us. And obviously, there's a lot that's built into, Windows 365 Cloud PCs and Switch and Boot and, everything else really respects that. Um, and you explained it earlier too about how it's all about Windows 11 and, we're using all of the concepts of Windows 11 and the security features and everything like that. So,
The important thing here to recognize is that virtualization has not been growing that much over the last 20 years because of the
mhm,
knowledge barrier and adoption that didn't go well because it's pretty complex as both from the end user and IT admin side. And with Windows 365, we make virtualization available for everyone as a SaaS based experience comes in, and you can just enable a cloud PC the same as you enable Microsoft 365 services like Exchange Online. Just flip a switch, you have an Exchange mailbox. It's the same
mhm.
with a cloud PC, and that's really game changing how the product is adopting in marketing goes to like different scenarios like replacing a physical PC for a cloud PC. We see pretty common happening in large enterprises right now.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. One thing, if I'm not mistaken, Switch right now is in public preview, right?
That's correct.
And there are some requirements in order to be able to use it, right? And one that was very interesting was that, if I'm not mistaken, you need to join the Windows Insider program, the beta channel at least, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So right now we are in preview, public preview for both boot and switch. You need to be in the insiders ring. So we prefer the beta ring. Dev channel is supported too. So when you like watch this episode, it could have been as well that the feature already went GA. So we're pretty close to get to that moment. So if you're like watching this video when it's still in preview, yes, you need to be in the insiders ring, preferably beta or dev channel. And in the GA phase, you no longer have to do that. So you're in,
Right.
like, for example, the new latest Windows 11 build, you just get it via the Windows updates that you generically always
Mhm.
kind of get. And then you get it just like as part of that too.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was important to mention that because I think some people say, "Hey, how do I use it? I'm using Windows 365. I don't see it and stuff." And that's one of the requirements
Yeah,
for now.
one thing we can also point here below to the switch blog that we just released. So it has all
Yes,
those steps included there too. So we will put it in here as
it's
well
an
for you to
excellent
see.
blog. Yeah, very detailed. So, a couple of other things that are hot and were recently announced and stuff like that. So you were at VMware recently, and there was some collaboration with VMware as well. Can you explain what that's all about?
Yeah, great. Like it's great timing because I just came from the VMware Explorer event in Las Vegas, where we announced a new integration with Windows 365 and VMware, where we bring the added value of VMware Horizon Cloud. So think about the Blast Extreme protocol, third-party identities they support, but as well app volumes that they have as an application virtualization technology inside Windows 365, but with the same platform layer underneath. So the same cloud PCs, the same backend that we Microsoft manages for you and hosts for you, as well as the Intune integration. So if you're a customer using Horizon Cloud today and you
Hmm.
want to kind of leave your clients just as is, because clients are like as part of a migration to the cloud, it can be pretty disruptive for end users. You can
Right.
keep the clients just as is and then move your VDI environment to Windows 365 and connect via the same client experience with Workspace ONE, same portal to your on-prem as well as your Windows 365 cloud PCs with VMware Horizon Cloud, all via one single pane of glass. And that's something that could be very beneficial. We announced that last week on Monday, and we also did that for Citrix half a year ago too. So we now have
Hmm.
Citrix and VMware doing these benefits, and it's super easy to enable because we created in Intune in the tenant administration section of your admin portal a
Yeah.
new component of Windows 365 connectors. And then you can just flip a switch, and then the agent will automatically install to the cloud PCs. And then it's just there, enables those benefits. And then if you want to split or decide later on to disable it or for any reason, you can just flip the switch back to off, and then we
Oh,
remove it
beautiful.
automatically as well. So it's super
Yeah.
easy to do.
No, this is a great partnership, I find, right, with Citrix and now VMware, and anything to help the end user, have a great user experience, and also with IT admins, right? Like in order to instead of reinventing the wheel and stuff like that, hey, you got a good piece and we got a good piece. Let's bring it together and go from there. So the other thing that you had mentioned to me offline, which is really interesting as well, and Motorola ThinkPhone with Windows 365. That is something I've. It's interesting. I'd like you to explain that.
Yeah, with Windows 365, we really take the experience to another level. And just like integrations in Windows with boot and switch, we also do it on different form factors, and the phone
Hmm.
is one of them. Like everybody these days has a smartphone, and some even use it more than their physical PC. So what if we can bring the computer inside the phone and connect from your phone to your cloud PC? And that's
Okay.
exactly what we did with our Motorola Lenovo ThinkPhone partnership with Windows 365. Is that we now have a phone that you can use to plug in a USB-C to HDMI cable to your monitor and then stream the Windows 11 experience from your phone. And imagine you have a keyboard and mouse via Bluetooth that you can
Right.
also connect to that phone and just have a full-blown like desktop
So,
experience. So you come to your desk, you have a flex office, for example, you just plug in it into a docking station that is directly connected to your monitor and your keyboard and mouse, and you're ready to go to stream Windows with the same look and feel integrated Windows experience from within your phone. Because we worked with something called the MPEX team in Microsoft, so the Android enhanced platform experience team here in Microsoft, to build
right.
an integrated experience that feels like Windows on an Android phone as well. And
Right.
there are probably more partners coming up as well, but right now Motorola is the partner we have.
We started with. Yeah, that's good.
Correct.
Yeah, just think about it. where we're headed with technology today, like, and in the future, like, I can start using your phones and get full blown, Windows 11 and stuff like that. It's just mind blowing, mind blowing.
One of the things we did too is we partnered with LG to build the Windows 365 and AVD client inside the LG television smart TV
Oh my
console.
God.
So if you're having an LG TV, you can just go into the smart section, smart TV
Hmm.
kind of menu, go to their home office app, and then just log on to your cloud PC. You no longer need like a compute layer. It's just part of the compute that sits in the LG TV, and then
Oh
you go
my
just straight
God.
from there, right? It's pretty cool.
That's it. Sitting in your living room and you're flipping between watching a Netflix show or something like that. And then, hey, hold on. I got to get to do some work here.
Yeah, well, I hope you are sticking more to the Netflix at home and do that at the working hours. But
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, finally, I know there's so much to talk about, in this space here, and you're brilliant, and very knowledgeable in this space. But one of the things that really excited me recently, and it's a big announcement too, is Frontline Worker for Windows 365. It's it's a unique use case, got great benefits, and let's kick that off. Let's talk about that.
yeah, it's great because Windows 365 Frontline really sits in the different scenarios that we see at customers that are going beyond just traditional or generic cloud PC licensing needs. So with Windows 365 Frontline, we really try to maximize the investment of customers that they do in Windows 365 to split one license to make available to 3 users. So what does it mean? You still get the kind of personal experience what you get with Windows 365. So the cloud PC is your PC, just like the physical PC is your PC. But then for 3 users, and then for shift workers or healthcare use cases or other specific use cases where you not work like 24/7 potentially. So you work in shifts, for example, somebody
Right.
works in the morning shift, in the afternoon shift or evening shift. You can use just one license and then you can split it to 3 users and they have the same personal Windows experience in the cloud. And integrations with Boot, for example, play a very important role that we are going to announce pretty soon, that you can boot to cloud on a frontline based cloud PC and then work on that one. And then there's an integrated experience in the clients that you can check out and
Mm.
then somebody else can use the license. So invest like in one license as a business and split it over 3 users. So it's way lower, of course, in investments from like a business
Mhm.
requirement in order to use it. So think about as well pools of users. So if you have 100 licenses, you can use it for 300 users. And it could be that some of those users are on holiday, so you can also use those licenses for other purposes. So it's really
Right.
that pool of licenses, not only one license, 3 users, but as well the amount of licenses you have. And we see that as a great need in market as well for what we call follow the sun models. So think about
Mm.
different continents, right? So you have US, you have Europe, you have Asia, all different time zones with like at least 6 hours in between. So you can use that too to just split your investment and use Windows 365 Frontline for that.
Yeah, I know. Like some companies help desk changes continents. So during daylight hours, it's in the U.S. and then it flips over to Singapore or something like that because daylight hours over there, kind of a thing too. So this would come in great for that.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I think the call center use case is one of the number one use cases we see right now. Customers
mhm.
adapting Windows 365 Frontline for, but we see healthcare as well right
Yeah,
now, and we are talking with partners in the healthcare scene to build integrations as well with their products right now.
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of benefits. It's a big cost savings for any organization, right? You buy one license, you get for three. And one of the things that really excites me is that it's the workers can personalize their cloud PC, environment, right? They can do whatever they configure their settings and things like that, and it'll always retain that when they come back and work. Uh, like good
Yeah,
stuff, good stuff. Yeah, love it. So what else we got going on, Christian? Before we We,
Well, I'm always kind of during those interviews get excited about all the new things, and I really want to share more things that we are building internally,
yes.
externally as well. But I also need to be cautious a little bit, not sharing too much. But we're not, definitely not stopping where we just started with boot and switch and all those other features. One thing I can say is that with Boot, for example, we really focus on the end user experience in the software layer. So in the operating system, we build
Mhm.
something to take it to the next level. Hey, what about like the lower end, right? Like what about like the hardware? What about the surfaces that are currently being shipped with Windows 11? Like what if we can do something there to get something, let's say, pushed down to a customer, you unbox it, and then you can boot straight into a cloud PC and
Mhm.
things like that. So that are the things we are currently investigating, exploring as well. So maybe if you bring me on this show next season, we can
We can
talk
talk
more.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So another thing I want to mention about, maybe a lot of people think cloud PC, oh, it's just another PC, but you guys moved to the cloud, so whatever, whatever. But there's some really, really amazing use cases for cloud PC. And one of them, I met one of our customers in Germany earlier this year, and they're using cloud PCs when they're actually merging or acquiring other companies into the main company, right? So instead of like trying to figure out how to switch their tenants and how to get them on board quickly and get access to the main company data and services and stuff like that, they're like, you know what? On day one, we spin off a cloud PC, we give it to them, they're in our tenant. They get into our whatever resources they need, emails, whatever, and then we'll figure out slowly how to migrate from their old tenant to this. And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
yeah. It's
So,
pretty cool how like companies
mhm,
that do a lot of acquisitions and merging like other
yeah,
companies with each other, how easy they can ship like a cloud PC without shipping any physical hardware, and then use the Intune console to just expand and gain like a cloud PC to multiple users
yeah,
easily, and just use emails, send them like the credentials and everything, like where to go to, where to download everything, and then they're just ready to go then, and it's just super
yeah.
convenient.
It's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant solution. Lastly, let's talk about resources. And I know you have a book that you want to talk about, and then how do people get feedback or get hold of anything Windows 3?
It's great that you mentioned that, Hajed. And for some of the followers, they might know that I've been writing a book together with Pearl Larson like 2 years ago about mastering Microsoft Endpoint Manager. That book got sold like over 15,000 times. So it really has become a bestseller. And it's great to see how the market reacted to that. We are now
Mhm.
doing something for Windows 365. So the book is called Mastering Windows 365, and it's going to be announced in the next like, let's say, a couple of weeks, so keep it a little bit silent. And we use one of the major events in Europe to amplify the great news as well. So if you're interested in diving super deep in Windows 365 and how you can configure cloud PCs, switch, boot, frontline, everything end to end, go from zero to hero to become a Windows 365 master in terms of an IT administrator, but as well, like if you're a business decision maker, it could be super beneficial because we talk about the business value of Windows 365 in there too. You can go to aka.ms slash mastering and then W365, and then you can pre-order it there or order it when it's already available when you watch it later.
Excellent, excellent. And that's a good way. I have your previous book that you wrote, so it's phenomenal. It's great, great stuff.
Yeah, and
And
just to echo on your other question real quick, like if you have any feedback regarding Windows 365, Azure Virtual Desktop, you just want to just talk with somebody from Microsoft, you can hit me up on social media, just on LinkedIn or Twitter. So LinkedIn just by my first and last name, and Twitter by my handle Brinkhoff_C, or just hit me up on any of the events that are coming up soon as well. And I will be happy to translate your feedback into our backlog as well.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so this has been great, Christian. And for those that have been following him or just getting to know him, watch his show, Windows in the Cloud as well. And he's, Christian, you have always been very attentive to the community. Very reactive. You and I are both IT pros at heart and community members as well. So it's awesome. And hey, listen, finally, uh, I can't wait to have more kebabs with you.
Well, we will get one in Switzerland, and I hope some of
Exactly.
your audience will be in Switzerland for the Workplace Ninja event too, because they have great
Yeah.
kebab there. So that could
Yeah.
be only the reason to go too. If you like kebab, be there.
Yeah. So yeah, awesome. So we had a kebab experience in Lucerne, Switzerland last year. So we'll hope to reinvent it again in Zurich and Baden. So all right, Christian, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You're awesome, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey, thanks for having me, Hajit.
Thank you for watching Tackling Tech. I hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new. Please like and subscribe to this channel and stay up to date with the latest episodes. And if you have any feedback or suggestions for future episodes, please let us know in the comments below. And you can also follow me on Twitter for more updates and awesomeness at Tackling Tech. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.